Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be working on the Lab 7 Sheet 2 drawing. There is no lecture video, just to be clear, about Lab 7 Sheet 1. There's no new tools for the first sheet of this lab as you learned in Lab 6. So I want you to take what you learned in Lab 6 and use what you've learned to create the Sheet 1 drawing for Lab 7. So a little bit of a challenge, but like I said, there's no new tools. It's a relatively simple part. You're just doing a couple extrudes and a couple cuts and setting up the drawing per normal. So go ahead and get that done. And after you're done with that, you can move on to this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we're going to be creating, kind of this caliper type item here. And I have this kind of fancy real view graphics on that makes it look a little bit more like real metal. But you can turn that on and off with this little button here. There's actually a couple options. This gives you some perspective. You can kind of make it look a little cartoony. And then there's ambient occlusion, which just you can't really tell with ambient occlusion unless you have the real view graphics on. And then when I turn that on and off, it just changes how the light is rendered a little bit. But that's really neither here nor there. I'm also going to turn off shadows and perspective. All right. So this is what we're going to be creating. A couple new tools here. Nothing really for the actual to draw this other than we are going to use an array tool for the first time. But in the drawing, we are going to be using a number of new tools. And these tools are going to be important for test 2, which is the first SolidWorks test coming up in a couple of weeks. Let me verify the actual date of test 2. Test 2 is going to be on the 25th of this month. So we got a couple weeks, but just remember, maybe make yourself a note, and I will remind you that the Lab 7 Sheet 2 lecture video, we're going to be using a number of tools for the drawing that you're going to need for the second exam. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, you're going to come into SolidWorks, open up a new part file. And the first thing we're going to do here is change the unit system to mmgs. We're going to use millimeters for this drawing, as we can see from your assignment. And then on the front plane, click on the front plane. We're going to do sketch. I'm not going to show it quote this time, just so you can kind of see what it's like to not have it being shown. Once you open up the sketch, it actually does automatically show it anyways. So it's not when you're actually drawing and when you have it selected, definitely it will go away eventually, but the plane is there for you. So it's not like you're completely, blind. Grab your circle tool and on the origin, go ahead and place that. Your plane may disappear. That's okay. And we have our circle. And the dimension of that per our reference drawing is 128 millimeters. And then we can see in our reference drawing, there's also a through hole right in the middle. And that through hole has a dimension of 25 millimeters. Now, once you have those dimensions in, you will see both parts are black, both dimensions are black. That means our part is fully constrained, and we can go ahead and extrude. So for this, I am going to do my mid plane, even though the rest of the part's not going to be centered on the plane. But for us, I'm going to, for this first one, I'm going to do it. So 7 millimeters from the mid plane. Click the green check mark. And then we're going to open up a new sketch on this face. So you're going to click on this face, new sketch. It's going to bring you normal to this face. And I'm going to grab my circle tool. Now, starting on the origin, I'm going to drag a circle kind of out to this area here. And I'm going to dimension that out to 85 millimeter diameter. Now, what we're actually drawing here is, let me bring this in. We are drawing this ring right here. So we don't have an arrow that's pointing to the inside of this ring. So we don't really know the thickness, or I'm sorry, we have a thickness given to us here, but we don't have a diameter for the inside. So how we do that, just like in AutoCAD, SOLIDWORKS has an offset tool. So we can click on this circle, offset, and it's offset at 5 millimeters. And then, but see, we're on the outside, so we're going to click reverse. That's going to bring our offset to the inside, green check mark. And we can go ahead and extrude that. Let me zoom out so I can see my reference here off screen. And we're going to go ahead and extrude that. Now, this time, just like previously, when we're drawing on a face, we already have material, we're just going to go blind. At least in this case, we're going to go blind. And we are going to extrude that out 30 millimeters. And click the green check mark. And from here, Control-1 will bring you back to the front view. And again, let's go ahead and click on this face. This face and this face are both the same. They're just separated now by this rib. So either one of these is going to work just fine. Click Sketch. Now we're inside a sketch on this face. And we're going to grab another circle from the origin. And before we dimension it, let's go ahead and click on it, highlight it. And then other options in your little window here, in your properties window, go ahead and click that check mark. And now you'll see it is for construction. Now go ahead and grab your smart dimension. And this, per our reference, is going to be 70 millimeters. And what that is a that is actually, so it's for construction. It actually is, in this case, the center line for all of these little extrusions here. So knowing that, let's take a point. You don't necessarily need a point, but I like to put one in, and you're just going to snap it right to the top of that circle, and it should automatically give a coincident mate and a vertical mate to this origin. So right now, so this point is vertical to the origin, which means it cannot move left or right. And it's also coincident to the top of this circle. So that point is fixed in space and it's black. If you just put one way out here, you'll see even a point can be blue or black. So this point is constrained. And we're going to grab our circle tool. And we are going to dimension that circle as the larger, the outside circle. So that's going to be 27 millimeters, just like that. And now we can features extrude. And that will also be 30 millimeters. However, there has been a mistake. So this rib right here should actually, looking at our drawing, should actually only be 12 millimeters tall from that top face there. So to fix that, we have to edit our extrude. So now I can come back, I can click this extrude here. I can edit that feature. And it's just as easy as changing this dimension that we put in. So we're going to make that 12. Click the green check mark. And there we have it. Next step here, open up a sketch on this top face right here. So good drafting practice. I would probably actually open this on this, but I kind of want to show you. You can draw really anywhere. You can't draw on a curved face. You'd have to project to that, which we're not going to cover in this class. However, we are able to draw on this face. So I'm going to go ahead and create a circle. And now if you hover over the edge, it should allow, yep, there we go. You might have to kind of hover and then come towards the center, and it will give you an option to snap. See, there's that little yellow icon. So when that icon is active, that means you're going to snap to the middle. And go ahead and dimension that to 15 per our PDF assignment reference drawing. 15 millimeters. And we're going to take that, go to features, extrude cut. And instead of going blind, we know the dimension, but you're gonna use a different tool. So we're gonna use up to surface. And then this face or this face would work because they're coplanar. So that means they're on the same plane. We're just gonna go ahead and click here. We can see our preview is gonna make that cut go right up so that it's even with that face. Click OK. And there we have it. Now we've cut through our rib successfully. Now we're going to use our array tool for the first time. So go ahead and hold Control and then click this Boss Extrude and then click this Cut Extrude. And we are going to come underneath linear pattern, just do the drop down, and we're going to do a circular pattern. So in AutoCAD, this would be a polar array. So once we're in here, it's going to ask us the direction. So we're going to go ahead and click any of these arcs that follow this same point. So this would work, this would work. So I'm just going to go here like that. I already have 6. Yours may look like this, or it may look like something like this. So just change the number of instances to 6 and click the green check mark. And you can see we have patterned the features. So we didn't pattern a sketch. You can also pattern the sketch, but we have patterned these features so that this rib has been cut every single place that this extrusion and cut occurs from our circular pattern. And we're almost done. At this point, we just have to add some fillets. So you can do multiple fillets if that makes more sense to you, or you can do what I'm about to do. I'm going to put them all in one feature. So I kind of like, sometimes it makes sense to split things out, sometimes it doesn't. For our purpose, I'm just going to show you. You can have all of these fillets in the same feature. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold Control, and I'm going to select around. And the tops of these all need to be selected. And then, so we want to have all of these filleted, but we do not want either the top or bottom. So see, I have this face selected. So all of this on the outside is going to get the fillet. And then this face is selected. So the top and bottom here, but we are not selecting this face, because if we do, then the bottom of this hole is going to be have a fillet, and we don't want that. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and click fillet. The radius of that fillet is going to be 2. And now it's giving us a nice preview. So we can see there's a few little items that are not selected that we want to be selected. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to click that face. I'm going to click that face. And I know it does get a little dicey in here. Oh, and we want to select tangent propagation. There we go. Just like that. There we go. All right, so now we have almost everything done. To get the bottom of these pillars, I'm just going to select the pillar. And there's different ways. You don't have to select exactly the way I'm selecting, but basically everything is getting this fillet, every single connection point on this entire model, except for the top and the bottom here, but everything else is getting it. And you can see, so I know this is like hard to look at, but what I kind of do, instead of looking directly at it, I kind of look, and this is just my way of doing this, and it helps. And I do look directly at it too. But one thing I'll do is I'll kind of look like 1,000-yard stare, like I'm kind of looking in this direction here. And as I'm looking, I'm kind of using the 1,000-yard stare to look in my peripheral, kind of not just at like this individual line, but I'm kind of looking at this whole area. And I can look through the preview and really see more. It's like seeing the forest through the trees, if you ever heard that expression. So like this one line would be a tree, but this whole thing is like a big forest of all these of this preview here, and I'm kind of looking at all of it at the same time by looking more through it than at it. And you can make sure that everything is selected. It looks like everything is, and we'll go ahead and click the green check mark. There we go. So now everything has the fillet that needs to have it, and we only have one fillet feature in our feature tree here. The only things that don't have the fillet are this top and this bottom. And with that, we have completed the drawing portion, the modeling portion of our, sorry, not the drawing portion, the modeling portion of Lab 7 Sheet 2. So before we go ahead and plot this, give me a Control 1, which is going to bring you to the front view, and then click the up arrow 2 times. Yeah, so 2. So Control 1, up arrow 1, 2, just like that, and then click the space bar to bring up the orientation menu. And we're going to add a new view. So we're going to add like a custom view to this. And it's going to make sense here. So we're going to click that. Our custom view is going to be called custom ISO. So it's like a custom isometric view. There we go. So now we have it. So now if we click, so now we have our front view here. If I click the space bar to bring up this orientation menu, now I have my normal ISO here, but I also have my custom ISO. So I can just zoom to this view anytime. And this view will also be available to us in our drawing, which is why we did that. So go ahead and save it. You should be saving it to your submissions folder. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Yes, I already have a drawing called this, I know. Once this changes up here, you know it's been saved, and then we can file, make drawing from part. CAD 154 title block. And here we go. So let's click and drag in our front view. Oops. Click on and then drag in. And place that kind of in this region, somewhere in here. Now, you have all these extra lines. So what you can do is select the view, right click. Oops, sorry, gotta click escape. It's trying to give me projections. If you put one in on accident, just go ahead and click delete. Click it and then delete it. So this is selected now. I can right click. And under tangent edge, let's make tangent edges removed. So that was just showing us like the exact point where it becomes tangent, and it's kind of distracting. So another thing that I want to show you how to get rid of is, oops. Come on. There we go. You don't have to do this, but so some people's might not come in with this nice like center mark across everything. So to get that back, or if you accidentally delete it, you can click center mark up here. That'll bring up this menu. And then you can select this circle, kind of like exactly what we have. It's called a circular center mark or radial center mark. And then you can come in and just click all of these, the outer circle, like the larger circle here. And there we go. That's how you get that back in case you don't have it or in case you delete it on accident. Now from here, we will not be doing projected views. We are going to do, one is going to be the custom ISO. So let's go to drawing tab, model view, and double click on your part. If that's open, I don't think I talked about that already yet, but when you go to insert these views, if you don't have the part open already, you're going to have to click the browse button. So when you do model view up here, if you do, like, I already have the part open, so it's just in this window. It's open documents. If you don't have it open, you're going to have to click browse, and then you browse to the location where you have your part, just like that. So I have it open, so I can just go ahead and click. My custom ISO is an option, so I'm going to do that. There we go. Drop that bad boy right in. Click escape so it's not trying to give you projected views. And then I'm going to click on that. And we're going to make that shaded without edges. And then this little button, this real view graphics, let's turn that on so it gives it a little bit more perspective, just like that. Now we're going to do what's called a section cut, and we're also going to do a detail view. So the section view, and this is what you're really going to need. So these three things: the isometric view, the shaded isometric view, then the section view, and the detail view are going to be important for exam 2. So click on section view. We want a vertical cut. So we're going to go ahead and click that location, click the green check mark, and then we can pull this guy kind of out to the side here and go ahead and click to place. And I'm going to click escape a couple times. You may notice a couple things. The first being that this is facing the wrong direction. So go ahead and click on it. That will bring back up the section view indicator or menu here. Just click flip direction, and there you have it. Now we kind of want to bring this up a little bit because this text was overlapping our title block. So what we want to do now, it always comes in like this for some reason. So I double click to edit the text. It's all highlighted, and I'm just going to make it 12-point font, all of it, just like that. And I like to bring mine up just a little bit. Now, the next thing before we throw dimensions on, or the last view we need to put in, is a detail view. So a detail view would be when you want to kind of blow something up to show more information than maybe you can get on there, maybe to throw some dimensions in like a really small little area. So grab your detail view. It's gonna basically give you a circle tool. So I put my circle kind of arbitrarily, kind of right in the middle, and I drag it up to kind of this location. Click again, and now it gives you this really big view that we can place right over here. You can change the scale of that. I mean, you can make it bigger or smaller. You do like a 1:5. You can do a 1:1. Or you can do a custom and make it like really big. You can make it like 0.5:1. Or anything you want. So 1:1 works fine here for us. The rest of this is 1:2, and it should automatically just bring that in. It should choose your sheet scale based on like the size of the model, generally speaking. That's why we haven't really talked about that. But anyways, go into double click the detail B, scale 1:1, and you're going to take this and just give this a 12-point font also. And actually, I'm going to go back in there and delete that space. And there we go. So at this point, all we really have to do is throw dimensions on. And we are going to have to change a few things in the little dimension scheme area. Double click the middle mouse will recenter. I know I've said that at least once, but I want to say it again. It works in the drawings too. It doesn't just work in the model. So we're going to come up to the options window. And document properties, dimensions, primary precision, because we're in millimeters, is going to be none. We're going to need diameter dimensions. Those are going to be broken leader horizontal text. Radius dimensions are going to be broken leader horizontal text. And linears are going to be this guy too. That works. Or we can do that. How about that? Okay. And last thing here. So we have, even though our part is in millimeters, we actually have to change this on our drawing too. So we're going to go change that to millimeters. And from here, we could just throw some dimensions on. So I'm going to follow our sheet. So because this is like a broken circle here, because there's these cuts, it's going to show as a radius. So we're just going to take that and make it a diameter. So you can click on it. You should be able to click on it or just right click on it. And you could display it as a diameter or display it as a radius. Another smart dimension. This guy. Just like that. Same thing. Make it a diameter. There's that. And then we want to add some text. Just like that over here in the dimension text area. We're going to add some text here too. And this is going to be 6x space, and the x's can be small. I usually do small font for that kind of thing. And we need this guy. And that will give you a radius, so we're going to change that to diameter. We got this big one. And this diameter here, I forgot to change it. It's going to be 6 small x space, just like that. And then let's go ahead, just select all these dimensions. And go to leaders. And click this button right here. Oh, one arrow open leader. So that's going to get rid of all those extra lines all over the place. Now we can just kind of play around with how these dimensions are placed, so they're not overlapping anything. There we go. That looks good. And we just got a couple more we got to do here. There's that. We have one here. Oops. Wrong again. They got a 37. Then we have a 7. I'll drag it out so that it matches our example drawing. And then we got one more right here. Just like that. And we're going to add space TYP, which means typical. It means all the radiuses, all these fillet radiuses are the same in the entire drawing. And that looks good. So the only thing left we have to do is let's grab a center line. And we're going to go here and here. Oopsies. Added it to the wrong location. So I'm going to go here and here, just like that. There we go. And then delete that. Cool. This added it for me on accident because I selected the wrong thing. So you will likely have to add both of them, but it's the same process. You just select the top and the bottom right here on both sides. And that'll give you a nice center line. And I just realized that I totally messed up our model. So again, so let's go ahead and save this. It's going to be a quick change. I just want to save this drawing so that we don't get bitten later, you know, in case SOLIDWORKS crashes. And you should already have this part open, but if not, you can right click on any of these views and click open part. Now, these were supposed to cut all the way through. So there should be, because these are bolt holes. So this cut right here, this is the cool thing about doing one cut and then doing an array or a pattern, is all we have to do is this face that we used. Let's just make that this face right there. Click OK. Boom. Now that mirror is all the way through. And then you can either edit the fillet that we already have, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and make a new fillet. So I'm going to open up my fillet tool. And then with that open, just come through and I can click just like that. Click the green check mark. And there we go. So I'm going to close this. You don't have to. You can just go back to your drawing. So I'm just going to close the part. You don't need it anymore. And now we are all the way updated. So the only thing, so because we changed this feature, so now this dimension is kind of screwed up. So you can just, you can adjust these little guys. But it might be kind of difficult to do it that way. So just delete that dimension is probably the easiest way to do it. And do something like that. And then go ahead and just edit this text again. We are going to have to edit our sheet format. So right click, edit sheet format. Make that look good. Change this to our lab 7 sheet 2. And click the button to get out of here. Boom, this is back. And we can save as a PDF. Now, the PDF you plot from this, again, is going to be what you submit to the Dropbox. Let's go PDF, save. And there it is. All right, everybody, good luck. And let me know if you have any questions.